So Italy 0, England 74. A crushing win for England here. I'm really enjoying following their journey through the Six Nations as they build up to the very probable finale versus France in the last game. They were never going to lose this game, and indeed they never let Italy even have a sniff, which is what I quite liked. So nearly full marks for England, although I think in the first half maybe they were a little guilty of just trying to go through their shapes a bit too much rather than just attacking, but that's a minor complaint. They did have a bit more intensity after half-time. I think that might have been what was said at half-time. But let's go through the game, and there's plenty of themes here. Middleton would have learnt a lot about his teams and the combos he's put out, so let's get into it. Some worthwhile changes. The midfield for England, very interesting. They went for a ball-playing midfield to see what it could do, and it certainly created lots of width. With Harrison at 10, probably the more natural 10 from watching her. Rowland at 12, who's a good combo between that 10 and 12, can run a bit as well. They've got Mo Hunt back at 9, Aitchison at 13, so definitely a very quick move the ball midfield to start with. And it doesn't take long, 4 minutes in there for McKenna to get her first try. Left all alone on the left, some bad marking from Italy there. Just goes in after good work from the maul. Italy had no answer to the maul, to be honest. They had no answer to the scrum. Really struggled in those areas. And I just made a note right at the start. The sheer physical size and just musculature of the England players, just so much better than the Italians. The Italians, very, very willowy, but they tackled with ferocity, but just physically not as powerful at all. So they were always going to struggle. So it's just a huge difference there. Last week versus Scotland, I thought Scotland were pretty well organised and went through their attacking phases really well and got some good ruck speed. Italy just couldn't do that at all. They were defending for the majority of the game, and as soon as they got into some sort of attack, England were just right on them, smashing them backwards, jackling, forcing the mistake. And certainly in the first half, the England game plan is definitely to move the ball quickly, go side to side, play with extreme pace, and they think Italy will crack eventually. It does take a while for Italy to crack for the second time, to be fair. It's a try for Thompson on 14 minutes. All credit, though, to Cornborough with a charge down who makes that. Italy, they're actually trying to run out of their 22, not very wise, and they don't really have a kicking game to exit, so they got in trouble there, so Thompson with the try. Harrison, like I said, just looks a bit more natural. Her kicking game, her passing game. Rowland, though, I think does have a slightly better running game. So if you're going to play both of them, I think it's definitely 10-12 that way round. So if you want to create some width, I maybe would put Scarrett at 13 if I was playing those two 10-12, because they did look a little light on direct threat. But certainly an interesting change up to have, because those two players are both very talented. I would guess as a starting team, one might be on the bench, to be honest, probably Rowland on the bench, but a good idea as a change-up. Italy in trouble since they're completely trapped in their 22, which is a theme throughout the game. They just can't get out. The inevitable maul comes. It's 0-17, this time a bad miss from the conversion from Harrison, although she did get some good kicks. On 24 minutes, Italy are tenacious in the tackle, they really are, but then when they get the ball, they've been pretty sloppy, they can't string any decent possession together, and they inevitably invite trouble from England. And their kicking game, Italy, is pretty terrible, to be honest. They have to try something different, they know that, but they just can't get territory. They really need someone who can just lump it long, to be honest, and get them out of trouble, and they just don't have it. So they're always under the pump. It must have been a really exhausting day for Italy, to be honest. Then we have a try for Brown, just simply power carries from England. Brown busting over, she is a big carrier for sure. They're not scoring at will, England, but it's just that sheer amount of possession they have in the 22 that means it's going to come. Italy, they know they've got to be unorthodox. They're trying to kick in different ways. They're trying to run. They're trying to offload. But really, at this point in the game, half an hour in, they need to go through some phases with some territory and just get into the game. But they can't do it, and it just must be exhausting for them. Anyway, England forward carries make big ground pretty much every carry, and it's hard work for the Italians, and the penalties are coming. England, they're just simply pumping it into the corner. The try is pretty much inevitable. 0-31, it's Matthews on 34 minutes with another try. Into the second half, and England do come out with a bit more pace, and it's a good try, probably the best try of the match so far. Just 1 minute into the second half from Thompson. She played really well, hat-trick in the end. Brown again with a big carry and handoff, puts Italy on the back foot, and a nice delayed pass from McKenna releases the wide players. Thompson goes in. That was good. England starting with intent, not dropping off even though the game's obviously won. And England clearly getting to run through their attacking playbook and their shapes. Another note, the Ward-Davis combo in the line-out was looking really slick. When those guys went off, when Davis went off, it definitely got worse. So that's something the coach will make note of. Fleetwood comes on, scores a good try. It's deja vu from the first half. Good tackling from Italy, but when you spend 99% of your time defending, you're going to concede, and they do again there. Just a note here, England have tried some different back row options in the first two games, but I'm pretty sure my first choice back row will be Matthews at 6, Packer at 7, Poppy Cleal at 8. They've tried a few combos, but I think that's the one for me. Let me know if you would differ. Then we get a try for Byrne, and wow, what a try. I mentioned in my last video, Byrne looked in great shape, looked really good in the last game. This time it's a nice break from Hunt, which sets her up, but she's still got to go 30-40 metres with a handoff. Byrne's pace on the wing. Good stuff from the tight head to score 0.48. I'll just make a note at this point, England have that ability, which Italy don't, just to pump the ball long off Harrison or Rowland, chase up the pitch and pin them in their own half. So that's just a huge weapon to have when your opposition does not. And to be fair, Italy are still chop tackling really well, and it is giving them chances to jackal, so that's a positive for Italy. And when Italy do get the ball, because they haven't had it for so long, they just get too desperate and want to score straight away, give the ball straight back to England, and they just need to maybe even slow it down, kick and compete, something like that, to get a bit of time with the ball in hand, but they can't do it. They give the ball away a bit too desperate. Then an interesting couple of minutes where we have 3 amazing tip-on passes from Poppy Cleal, just in 5 minutes spell. Often it's to Matthews, those two combining so well. You've got to have those two in the back row. Just shows Poppy Cleal isn't just someone who busts the ball up. It's got good hands as well. That was impressive. And eventually, off one of those, it sets up a try for Singh, who just walks over on the right edge, 0.53. Then we get a try for Scarrett, just off the bench, makes a big impact. Tidy change up in England's attack. It's probably Scarrett who calls the kick on herself, but a perfect grubber kick from Harrison just pops up. She dots it down. Big impact from Scarrett. She knows she's first choice, but she won't have liked being on the bench. And when she comes on, she really adds some physicality in attack and defence. So that's just another little nod to the coach saying, yeah, I am the first choice. Anyway, England's scrum all game has been pumping out useful penalties as it continues. Italy not rolling away from the ruck is another big negative for them. They get a yellow card, which is the last thing they need, being 14 players for the last 10 minutes. England replacements come on. Some have an impact like Scarrett. Some actually have a bit of a worsening of the scrum. Some of the carries not quite as good. So again, that's something for the coach to make note of. But we do get a walk-in for McKenna because England still are camped in the 22. So that's 0.69. Anytime Italy get possession, England are crunching them in defence. To be fair, they're not dropping off their defensive line speed. Just a nightmare game for Italy. They can't do anything. Even when they get the ball, they're getting crunched. And then England are just camping in their 22. And there goes another try for Thompson. Is the hat-trick try. Beautiful catch and give from Scout, showing she's got great hands, big in defence, big lines in attack. Yeah, she's one of the best players in the world for sure. Full time 0.74. So an absolute crushing defeat for Italy. Big win for England. All the ticks. Looks like they got through virtually unscathed, although Poppy Cleal nursing a bit of a knock on the knee. So let me know what you think of that game. Who played well? Who the best combos are as we get into this Six Nations? And I'll catch you next time.